Hi guys, welcome back to the Wave of Metal podcast. It's nice to be back after a long time. Life got in the way, I couldn't record the episodes, I couldn't edit, but I'm back and I think I will be more steady with the episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in. This episode was recorded a few weeks ago, but today I was doing some finishing touches and I saw the news that MERCYFUL Fate is back together. And some of you know because every opportunity I have, I tell you that MERCYFUL Fate and King Diamond are my absolute favorite bands in the world. And I got the opportunity to see King Diamond 1 month ago. But I never thought I would have the opportunity to see MERCYFUL Fate. I thought they were long gone and they would never come back. I still don't know if I will be able to see them because I don't have the means to travel and go to these big festivals that they will probably play, but I will do my best to see them. But only to see that they came back, it's already good news for me, because maybe if I don't see them live, they could record a DVD or something, and it would be really nice to have this. Maybe some new album, I hope so. Now, talking about this particular episode, I always have in mind when creating this podcast to interview bands, but after my interview with Oliver Weisheimer from Keep It True, I realized that it would be nice to talk with other people that are involved with this heavy metal community. So I decided to call Enrico, my friend Enrico from the Cruz del Sur and Gatesofhellrecords labels, and we are going to talk with Han and Brigida. Brigida is responsible for the Gatesofhellrecords, and we're going to talk about their releases, how the label fits into the heavy metal world, more specifically the new wave of traditional heavy metal. And it was a good conversation. You guys are going to like it. We're going to listen to some songs from their releases. But before we start the interview, I need to give a shout out to my patrons. They donated to the channel, and I deeply appreciate them doing so because it helped me to pay some of the bills related to the podcast hosting and the softwares I use. And it's nice to have some people backing me because the channel doesn't make any money. I don't get any money for the views on the channel, as I already told you. So thank you so much. And these are the patrons: Diego Benvenuti, Michelle Turco, and Gote. If you want to join them, just go to the Patreon link on the description and donate anything you want. So now it's time to start the episode. We have here Enrico from Cruz del Sur Music and Brigida from Gatesofhellrecords. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Hi,
Hi, thanks.
it's a pleasure.
We're going to talk about the labels, of course, but let's start talking about the most exciting stuff first. The warm-up show at Keep It True Festival. It will be a bit different from the previous years because it will be a real live show, and you teamed up with them to make this possible, and we will have the Lord Weird Slogfair, Sandrine, Vulture's Vengeance, and Tyr. Can you explain how this idea happened and developed?
Yeah, sure. I remember that many years ago there was a warm up show actually at Keep It True, and so we had a talk with Oliver, the organizer from Keep It True, who was very kind to hear us. And we told him if it were possible to organize a live show again, and if it were possible to make this show with our bands. And it was, as I said, very kind and cooperative. So we started talking, and I think in 2-3 days we were able to close every detail. Under Oliver, he really wanted to somehow protect, if I can say that, the people attending the warm up. So we agreed to, for example, to keep the price of the ticket as low as possible. If you consider there are two bands coming from United States, well, the other two are from Italy, from Europe, but of course, bringing two bands from United States coming play in Germany, it's quite expensive, but we are very happy with that, and with the idea that it could be kind of a showcase for our bands, and I think it's not like just a warm up. It's a real small festival because of the quality of the bands involved.
And how did you select the bands that are playing there? Because we have, like you said, two from the United States and two from Italy, and we have new bands. Other are not that new, like Slope Fair, and we have also Tier, the bands from the 80s. How did you select the bands?
It was a mutual agreement with Oliver because, of course, he knows better than us the German audience, and since we have a new Slow Fag album after 5 years from their last one, and of course, Keep It True is always overbooked. And we understand that it's not always possible for Oliver to have all the bands that are worth playing the festival on the festival itself. So I think we needed a strong headliner, which was Slowfag and Sanhedrin. They're both co-headlining the festival. And the other two bands, Vultus Vengeance, it's a band a lot of people like. We like them, of course. You know, it was we were trying to put up the best bill as possible for this event. We also wanted to have Tier on the show because it's a band that has 40 years of career on their back, and they were never been able to play Germany. So we thought they deserved it. Also for their music, they have a new album out in May. We tried to choose for this first test experiment. We tried to choose the bands that most represented both labels.
Okay, it's not. I'm not sure if I'm going to attend Keep It True this year. I hope so. I hope I can make it, and if I do, I hope I can go also to the warm up show because I'm most excited about Future's Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Their album is one of my favorite of the year, and I can say there are a lot of people interested in seeing them live.
Yes, we know that. It's very amazing what's happening with the band. It's not. We cannot say we are surprised because we know we are aware of the quality of the band, but I know that a lot of people expect to see them live. I know there will be something coming by the end of the year. I cannot talk about that in this moment, but there will be more chances to see them live, even for German people.
This is good news. But let's talk about the labels because not satisfied in having one label, Cruz del Sur, you decided to run two labels. So when did you decide and why did you decide to start Cruz del Sur and also Gatesofhellrecords?
Well, I will talk for Cruz del Sur, and this label has existed since 2003. I was always involved in metal, first as a fan, and then I can say again as a fan, but also with a business side. My reference as a label has always been Black Dragon Records from France. I was very inspired by that label because I remember I bought everything that came out on the label because I recognized that that label had a profile, and all the bands coming out from on that label, they were all exciting at the same time, and they respected some standards of metal and quality. So that was my source of inspiration. And with Cruz del Sur, what I was trying to do in the beginning was being inspired by them, by Black Dragon Records, to create something that people could buy, because they knew that if Cruz del Sur released something, it was worth at least listening. I will let Brigida talk about Gates of Hell now, but for example, I always try to release music I liked, the metal, the kind of metal I liked. So it was epic metal, power metal, US heavy metal, traditional heavy metal, but also doom metal. That was when Brigida started working with us, when we thought we needed something different, something more specific.
Yeah, exactly. There were many bands that were like typically 80s traditional heavy metal, and so since Cruz del Sur has a bit of a wider profile, we figured it would be nice to have a label that focused specifically on a certain kind of 80s inspired metal. Personally, there were labels in the 80s that I really love, such as Ebony Records or New Renaissance and many more. And I knew that when an album was coming on that label, it was going to be in the style of music that I liked. So that was the idea behind it, to do something like really specific. You know what to expect from, this way. We thought it would be nice to have to separate the releases, the style of releases. So Cruz del Sur has a bit of a wider profile with also some doom metal, and Gatesofhell is more like in the same style of bands, but all of them different and personal at the same time.
So this is how you decide if album will be released by Cruz del Sur and Gates of Hell. It's by the style of the band.
Yes, definitely. I think when you listen to our releases from Cruz del Sur music and from Gates of Hell, you can tell. I mean, you just feel it, There's some bands that have like a very old school flavor, and that goes more on Gates of Hell, while Cruz del Sur, of course, is more open also to little different kind of metal music.
Now talking about 2019, because it's been a great year for what we call the new wave traditional heavy metal. I have my channel on YouTube, and it's been crazy with so many bands releasing good albums. And you also released a lot of albums in the first 6 months of 2019. 16, if I'm not mistaken. 16 between the two labels, of course. And how did you manage to do that?
Yeah, we don't know. Actually, it's a very it's a
challenge.
It's a challenge. Every day of these 6 months and the months before, because of course you have to plan these releases in time, have been a challenge. I talk for myself, but I sacrificed a lot of personal things in this period to keep behind with the label work, and it happened that a lot of I'm not talking just for our labels, but I'm talking in general. It's amazing how many good bands are coming out specifically in this year, last year. Of course, if you think we released something in February, it's something that we planned 6-7 months before, and it just happened that all these good bands came together at the same time. I don't know if you ever seen one T-shirt we made years ago, which was Weniger aber besser. It was a German saying that we had. It was a Cruz del Sur T-shirt we made, and it symbolized the fact that we had less releases than other labels, but very focused on quality. And I think we should change that now, because I'm trying to be honest, but I see that the new releases have very good quality, and I mean they're the double.
There's many of them.
Many of them, and it was just I would say a matter of coincidence that they all came out together.
Well, also one thing we really need to say is that since Cruz del Sur and Gatesofhellrecords are independent labels, so we take care of most of the work personally. Nothing of this would have been possible without our customers and people who order from our websites, because they are actually being like really patient. They realize this is not Amazon, and so they, even if sometimes we have to slow things down a little bit, shipping orders, but the people are always very they understand, they understand, and they give us total support, which we really appreciate.
It's one of the things I like in heavy metal, because of these labels that are run by fans like you guys, and also with Bandcamp now, where you can deal directly with the band. So it's being more getting a sense of metal community. It's not like big labels or big companies like Amazon. It's starting to become more a thing of only us dealing with ourselves. So it's nice that it's happening.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's why we love to do festivals, to go to Keep It True, because this gives us a chance to, talk to people, to fans. And I mean, fans are just like us, So we talk about music, we talk about bands, and it's always really nice. And sometimes, even if we don't go to festivals to sell with the table, we go there, to watch the bands and talk to people. And I think this is important because it gives you a sense of like community in a way.
We talked about the 16 releases, the quantity. It must have been crazy for you guys to work all that. But it's not only the quantity. Many of the albums released by Cruz del Sur and Gates of Hell are on best of year lists. I know it's only August. We have to start this early because by the end of the year there are too many.
Yeah.
We are in a chat with Marco from Riding to Glory, the website, and also some more metalheads, and we are joking about that Cruz del Sur and Gates of Hell declared war on our wallets because of how many good releases were coming out every month. I think there were months that you have 4 releases and then the next one is 2. And most of them, if not all of them, are very good records.
Yeah, well, if it's any consolation, also many other other labels declare war on our wallets, because we buy a lot of stuff as well. So, like for example, I'm constantly buying records, so it's a common problem.
Yeah, between you guys and No Remorse, and also some of the labels that release reissues from the 80s, it's been crazy this year. But how do you feel seeing that the albums that you guys helped to make are being hailed as one of the best of the year?
It's as I said before, it's amazing, it's fantastic, the response we had. We always, as I think I said before, but something we have very clear in our mind, and it will never change for us. It's that we will always and have always released music we liked. So I think we possibly have the same tastes as you, because we like traditional heavy metal, we like epic metal, doom metal. It's nice to see that what we thought, we decided that it was worth releasing, has met the taste of people around. That's something very, very nice for us.
We're also very happy about it for the bands, because I think
Yes.
they all deserve a lot of recognition and support, and so it's really great that people actually like their music that they're playing. It's deserved,
Absolutely. just to illustrate, because I have the channel on YouTube, NWOTHM Full Albums, and every month I do the top 12 most listened albums of the month. And this month in June we have Lunar Shadow, Skelator, Traveler, and Smoulder between the 12. And Traveler is on the list since February. It was released in January, so it entered in February and is in the list all these months. And Smoulder is 3 months in the list. So it's just to show how good are some of the releases that you guys are putting out.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I think the albums you mentioned, but I would say all the albums we released this year are very strong and very personal. Each one of them. For example, you mentioned Traveler, and we really loved this band. We were blown away when we heard the demo, and we are very, very happy by the feedback they are getting from the metal community. I can say now that we are running out of the third pressing of the vinyl, so we will press the vinyl for a fourth time, which is amazing. If you think this is a newcomer band. And Smoulder, they are really great guys, and I mean, every time we release something, we have very high hopes, because as I said, we like the music we release, but I think that the Smoulder thing was kind of unexpected in terms of kind of exceptional feedback we had on them. They are a very good band, very nice guys. As Brigida said, we're very happy for the bands when something like this happen. And I think what we gave them as a label, besides deciding to release them, of course, is we always try to invest a good budget on promotion, because we just don't want to release something that, stay between you and me and a very small circle of friends. We want the band to get a wide recognition as big as possible. I'm happy that this is giving very good results in this moment, in these years.
Now that we talk about Smoulder, let's listen to one of their songs, Shadowy Sisterhood. And I think that what we all talked about the quality of the bands, just show how good the work of finding these new bands and identifying the good prospects are being done by you and your staff. I don't know how many people work with you.
Yeah, we're four.
So how is the process when you want to sign a band? How do you find them, and what do you do when you want to sign them?
I would say that, for example, for Cruz del Sur, we don't have many newcomers. I mean, we have some every year, but we try to work with the bands we already worked with. For example, we have Dark Forest next year in the studio, and this is their fourth album with us. Slow Fag is coming. They came back to the label after the Metal Blade experience. So, as Cruz del Sur, I would say that in general, I try to work with the bands that we already work with, and both us and them are happy each other to work together. So as long as that is possible, we will try to continue working with them. Then I would say that a lot of bands come to us, so we listen to everything we received, except, I mean, people should understand. Bands should understand that we don't release, for example, death metal or some kind of thrash metal or hardcore, that kind of stuff. We don't release that. So every time we get these random emails from bands that they seem not to understand what we are looking for, of course we don't listen to that. But every band we get and that has something to do with the style we listen to that. Beside that, I would say that we have a network of friends that get in touch with us, and they recommend us bands, and they say you should listen to this, you should listen to that, and of course we listen. And when we like the band, we contact them. That's a pretty easy way to work.
Yeah, and Gatesofhell, of course, being a new label compared to Crystal Music, we have new bands, but our aim is to continue working with these bands again in the future if we're all happy about our collaboration. Since I listen to a lot of metal as a fan, and I buy stuff, and I'm always trying to be aware of what comes out. Then if I like something and it's something I would like to buy for myself as a fan, then it's probably something I want to release. So it's pretty easy to make a choice, you know.
The situations you described happen on the channel because the channel is for traditional heavy metal bands, and I receive requests from bands of thrash metal, black metal. But what I like most is to hunt myself for the new bands, to go on Bandcamp and to go on Metal Archives and to find new bands there. And there are those that instantly click and I think this is awesome, I want to have this on the channel, and some that I need more time or they are not something that I feel very excited about. So I understand what you're talking, Brigida.
Yeah, and of course with Gatesofhell, we are open to thrash and this kind of music, but bands must understand that it has to be very traditional. Even if we're talking about thrash metal, if you send us an album that is really hardcore or too modern, that is not for us. I mean, there's different kinds of death metal. You know, there's Possessed, and there's bands that sound a lot more modern with triggered drums and stuff like that, and that's something we just can't release. So it's not a matter of style, but it's how you do it that makes the difference.
So let's talk about the 2019 releases more specifically. Not much because there are too many of them.
Okay.
Let's talk about the newest ones that are the new Slugfest album. They are returning to the label, like you said. So what can you tell about New Organon?
I can tell that it was a very long process of doing that. Recording started in 2 years ago, exactly in August 2017. So it was a very long process. But something I learned in these years is that you don't have to push a band. We want to release the best album as possible, both for us and both for the band. So there was no need to rush Slow Fag to finish the album. I mean, we had a couple of phone calls with Mike in October, November, and we set the deadlines for the album, and I'm very happy how it turned out, because it's a comeback, a return to a more traditional Slow Fag sound. I'm very happy for also for the artwork, because it wasn't easy to come up with something with Slow Fag. We always have had this problem about the cover artworks, and we were very happy to find Annick Giraud. I think you know her. She did a great job with the artwork. Mike wanted something that reminded AC/DC, and I think in some way it was should have been very simple. And I mean, very happy with the whole package.
I really like what they did with Down Among the Dead Men and Traveler, but I didn't follow the band afterwards, so I can't compare New Organon with the latest releases. But the reviews are being quite nice, right?
Yes, excellent. They're excellent. I think Slow Fag, they something I always appreciated about them, it was that they always did what they wanted to do in that moment. I mean, they never tried to do something for the people to like them. They always did what they wanted.
And now we have Skeletor, Cyber Metal. It's been a long time since they released an album, and now they are back.
Yes, I will let Brigida talk about that. But as Jason said, in some interviews, we met at a festival. I think it was like 5 years ago at Metal Assault in Germany, and they were signed to another label at that time. But I remember Mike Scalzi from Slow Fag telling me, you should sign this band. And so it was funny, because I would say by the end of last year, it was like, let's see what Skelator is doing. So I wrote Jason, and he wrote me back and say, hey, I was up to contact you about the new album. So that's how it came together. But specifically on the release.
Yeah, it's. I mean, when this happened, I was particularly happy, because it's a band I always liked, and so it was pretty exciting that we could get to release it. We really loved the artwork as soon as they sent it, and Jason really had a clear overall idea of
what he wanted.
What he wanted, yeah. But music-wise and visually.
And for me, it's a real metal album. It's great. I love it. I really love this album.
Yeah, I also really love some of the concepts of the lyrics, because I do like science fiction, horror, Japanese manga. So it's pretty cool. It all works out together very well, you know.
I released the album on the channel 2 weeks ago, and it's already 19,000 views, and
wow,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
While it was playing, I put it as a premiere so people could talk in a live chat, and most of the people were excited about the album. So I think it's a great album also.
Yeah,
thank you.
We think so too.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's listen to one of the songs of Cyber Metal by Skeletor, and it's Cast Iron. Next one is Ravensire, a stone engraved in red. Their previous album, Cycle Never Ends, was the first Cruz del Sur music record I have ever bought, and now they have a new one. What can you tell us about it?
I should say that Nuno is someone else who really knows what he wants, and he has very clear ideas about how his bands should sound, and I like that because I like epic metal. He has touches of true metal. I would say it's something maybe a bit specific for a wider audience, but it's something that really fits into our profile because, as I said, we don't want to release something for just to make money. Of course, this is a business for us. This is our main income, our only income. But so this is something. This release is something that really fits into label's profile because it's made with passion. It's a very good epic metal album, and he pays a tribute to someone who was very important for all ourselves, like Mark Shelton. What else can I say? I'm very proud. I'm very happy with the release itself. Also because they added a little color to the cover artwork finally.
Yeah, that was one of the questions when Nuno was talking to me about the album. I asked, "Is the cover in black and white?" and he said yes, but there's something else. And the last one is the last one of the new releases is Lunar Shadow, the Smokeless Fires. They have a new singer, and they were one of the most promising bands, and now they have the new album out.
Yes, Lunar Shadow. I mean, I've met Max at a German festival for many times, many years ago. I remember we had a long talk in Dittingheim. I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago, before Far From Light was their first album was released, and we really understood that we had something in common regarding music. I know that Lunar Shadow is not what you would expect from maybe 100% from a Cruz del Sur band, but I know that Lunar Shadow for Max is something very, very personal. He puts a lot of himself into the music, maybe too much for his health, I'm talking, because he really gave 100% to each release, to both releases he did for us, for the EP, for the previous EP, and I'm happy the people understood the album. There were some criticism about the cover artwork, but I believe that there was the cover artwork, apart from being a very nice painting, but it is something that the band, that Max really wanted. So it's a part of the album itself. So you have to take it or leave it. It's not like you can like the music and not like the cover artwork. It's a whole package. And I'm very, very happy by the reaction people had on the album, because of course, as I say, not being 100% traditional heavy metal, you never know. But people understood and liked the album.
And before that, we had Smoulder, Times of Obscene Evil and Wide Daring, Cavalier, Destiny Calls, Vulture Vengeance is the Night Lore, and Pulver, Kings Under the Sand. So we have these 4 albums were released between May, I think it was May. And what can you tell about them?
Every album is like a song for us, for me personally. So I love each of them. Any of these, every of these albums has something very specific we like. The 4 of them are very good releases in terms of music, and we know how much time and effort each band put into that, and I think the four of them turned it out as they should be. Very strong metal albums.
I'm particularly proud of the Chevalier album because it's very on the same, so much on the same style that I have in mind for the label. It's really super traditional and has a lot of like really cool influences. When you listen to it, you think of speed metal, you think of Brockaselm, you think, so it sounds familiar in a way, but at the same time, it cannot be mistaken with anything else, with any other band, because it has such a strong personality and style that makes it stand out, you know, from many other releases. Tom is an artist who has like a really, really is one of those artists who have a really clear idea of where the band is going, where he's going with his music, and so yeah, it's I think this is really, I really appreciate this a lot. I think it's very important. You know?
I really like the Cavalier album, especially the song Road of Light, that's also dedicated to Mark Shelton.
Yes.
Do you take into consideration when you were releasing them? Because by the way that they sound and the way that they produce the album, it will be something that will be extremely good for a small amount of people that are the people that are really invested in these 80s heavy metal, like say people that go to Keep It True. But the large audience, it's not going to understand what they are playing, and it's going to say that's bad production.
Yeah, well, we're aware of it, but I think that if you do things to please what you think people might expect from you, you're bound to fail. I think you should only follow your instinct, the stuff you like, and the stuff you consider good, because this way you keep things honest and true. You know what I'm saying? If you start thinking, oh, you know, this is good, I like it, but maybe people will not be able to get the sound, the production, or the song, this is not a good way to do things, I guess. You don't have to. I mean, it must be none of your concern. I mean, of course, you must put out something that you really like and think it's good, but don't get too much. You know, stuck into trying to guess what people expect or like, because it's not good.
Yes, it's not good, and I think Tom and the band they really wanted that kind of sound, and I don't think it's. I think it fits very well with the music they do, and sometimes I also think that today people always have to criticize something, so they really lost the enthusiasm for music. So internet has given us the chance to listen to everything, and a lot of people has taken this role of critic, like you know, their way of life. So they just don't listen to an album and they say, okay, I love this album because I love the music, love the lyrics. So okay, it's I cannot hear the drums very well, but who cares? No, they want to highlight, you know, sometimes the bad side, what they don't like on an album, which is you know, we accept that. Of course, people is free to think what they want, but I think they in this case the recording of Destiny Calls, it's very good one. It's very perfect and very fits with the mission of Chevalier.
Also consider that many bands that actually became like really famous, like Motorhead, or like I'm talking about big bands, they never actually worried about what people expected from them. While when you try to build something specifically to be successful, then you might have success for how long? A year or two, as long as the fashion lasts. but then it's gonna end. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do things your way because people are interested in seeing your vision. You know, not something standard that everyone can do. You know, and it sounds like maybe sounds perfect, but it's not interesting.
I never understand when people are so. And people talk about the production a lot because I remember that.
Yeah, they're so concerned about the details, you know, but they don't get they miss the essence, the point of the music, which is basically emotional and artistic. It's not like mathematics, you know. Drums are recorded this way, guitar sounds like this, so it's gonna be good.
Not for metal.
Not for metal, of course.
So we already talked about Smoulder and Future Transitions before, but now we have Pulver because they have the album Kings Under the Sand, and it's also one of my favorite of the year. And
I agree.
Yeah, we agree.
And it's not talked that much, so
I understand what you're saying, and I cannot explain why. Because I think it's a very good metal. The people in Pulver are fantastic people. We love each other, and what I like about Cruz del Sur and Gates of Hell, what I think we achieved maybe, is that that today the releases they last 2-3 months and then they die. I think you can buy Pulver. Okay, we really appreciate if you buy it now, but if you buy it next year, it's the same because it's a very good album. It's not like something you listen for a week and then you pass on something else. We like to think that our releases stand in time. So I'm very confident that the album will be appreciated. We hope that it will not take 30 years because this thing about all reissuing the old stuff, I think it's kind of weird because those bands, not all of them, of course, but many of those bands were not enough appreciated at the time, so they ended up splitting and not releasing anything else. And then after 15, 20, 30 years, people goes back to those albums and say, okay, this sounds great. And maybe if they showed some kind of interest in that band in that moment, they could have continued releasing new stuff.
I really love the reissues. The next episode of A Wave of Metal podcast will be about Cult's Metal Classics, the Greek label specialized in this. But with the channel, of course, I try to make people understand that they should support the bands that are playing now, not only those of the past.
Exactly, Anderson. The problem here, I mean, we don't have anything about re-releases, but of course, if there's no new music coming out, not new bands coming out, this is going to end. I mean,
yeah, it's like a dead scene that lives in the past. I mean, you really need both, I think.
Exactly.
So let's take a moment to listen to Phantom Hawk by Pulver. let's continue with the bands, because this other one is also another one of my favorites. It's a kind of something that I'm repeating now, but it's the Iron Griffin, Curse of the Sky, because they had already released an EP before, and then they released now the album with a different singer. And the singer is amazing. I don't know how he found the girl that sing there, but she's amazing.
That came a bit out of the blue, actually, also for us as a surprise. Oskari, he just wrote us he was working on new material, and that he had a new singer. And when he told me, I was a little bit not concerned, but sort of. I really liked the old singer as well, so I was like hoping this would be at the same level. And then he told us, "Oh, it's a girl." And so at that point, I was really curious. But when I finally got to hear the tracks with the vocals, I was really blown away because I didn't expect.
She's great.
She's amazing. I didn't expect anything like that.
And of course, we had Sanhedrin. That's also a female singer, and it's a power trio.
Yes. What can I say? It's. Sanhedrin is something that I'm not sure if I can find the right words, but it's something even too big for Cruz del Sur. This band is destined to be a big band. For me, I saw them live. I heard their albums, and they have everything to become a very successful band. I hope that for them. I hope we can do that together. And if not, I will completely understand that, because that is a band that really goes beyond the borders of traditional heavy metal. They have a lot of classic rock influences, and I think they're great, and they have a really energetic live show. I saw them, and I'm sure that people they will play in. At the Headbangers Open Air in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure they will tour Europe again in September, and we'll be back for Keep It True in April. So I think people will really enjoy. If they haven't seen them yet, they will really enjoy that live.
Yeah, they have one of the best songs of this year. It's The Getaway.
Yeah.
So we had in January, I think around January, we had the Sanhedrin, and we had Gatekeeper, Traveler, and Boost Control. So what can you tell about? We already talked about Sanhedrin, a little bit about Traveler. So we have Boost Control and the Gatekeeper EP.
Boost Control, when they sent me the material, they really impressed me. Because their music really took me back to middle 80s German metal from all those bands that came from the Hamburg area, such as Early Mania, Halloween, that kind of stuff. And it's something you don't get to hear so often these days. You do hear it, but most of the times it's not done the right way, because it ends up being like really catchy and therefore kind of cheesy. What I really liked about this band is that they managed to keep a good, perfect balance between catchy songs that stick in your mind and stay in your head, but with good taste, without becoming
very natural, made in a very natural way.
Yeah, very metal.
Yeah.
Not just not pop, how these bands sometimes end up sounding.
And the Gatekeeper release, Gatekeeper is one of the bands I'm most proud of having on the label, because I really like them. I had a chance to, I'm constantly repeating this, but living in Italy for us, it's not, and working in Italy, it's not easy to have a direct contact and meet our bands as it might be in Germany. But I had a chance to meet Jeff and the other guys and Jean Pierre and everything else. It's I love the album. I have it in my car. I'm constantly listening to East of Sun. The EP was also of a very high standard quality for an EP. I think it's time to release something new, and I think this will happen in next year.
Yeah, we all hope so because East of Sun is, like I said, great. The new EP is also good. The new songs are the title track, Grey Maiden, and also the acoustic, like Blind Guardian song is also very good, and the cover as well. But it's too little for to satisfy the listener. And we also had some albums, 3 albums that are not yet on the channel. First one is the Tear album. It's a Italian band, and I want you to explain because it's different from the other bands because they are not new. They are from the 80s, of course. So can you talk about the Metal Shock album?
Yeah, Metal Shock, the Tear album is an album that I really wanted to release, at any cost because Tear is actually one of the first Italian metal bands, and they're from my hometown, and they happen to be the very first heavy metal band from Italy that I got to listen when I started listening, the year I began listening to heavy metal. I started with a lot of classic British bands such as Iron Maiden, Saxon, and so on. And one day they gave me this tape, and they told me, "Oh, you should listen to this band because it's from our hometown." So since that moment, I always listened to the band and always saw their shows live, which happened to be pretty cool. And so when I got to meet them personally, and when they started talking about recording something, to me it was great to have an opportunity to release it. It was like sort of personal. Also because Tear is a band that never never recorded many of their many songs they wrote during the years, because they prefer to focus on playing live instead of releasing albums. So this was a cool opportunity.
This is what I felt when I saw the release because by being so different from what you guys are releasing in the sense, not different in sound, but being a band from the 80s, my thought was that it was something personal, something that one of you was a fan of.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we are actually really open to releasing bands from the 80s. The only problem is that sometimes bands from the 80s feel like they have to change their music style in order to fit more modern, tastes. And this is not working most of the time. So what we really liked about Tear is that they did an album that could have been easily released in the 80s. In terms of style and everything. So that's why we were happy to release it.
They sing in Italian, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
they sing in Italian, which I think is a very wise choice in a way. They started singing in English. They actually recorded a couple of songs in English, but English is not their language. So
it didn't work.
It didn't really work. I think it's better to record something you can feel confident about instead of trying to record something in English in order to appeal to a wider audience and then do something that is not perfect. Also I am a big fan of bands that sing in other languages, from France, from the Soviet bloc. So I have no problem with metal sung in different languages than English.
Yeah, we share the same because I also like when bands sing in their own language. It's Japanese, also Portuguese as well, Spanish. The next one is the Mausoleum Gate, the 7-inch. They also have a new singer, and I like their releases. So what can you tell about the 7-inch?
The 7-inch was something that the band wanted to do to represent this moment between their past lineup and the new one. It was Mausoleum Gate. It's one of those bands that maybe nobody wanted to release because they are not specifically heavy metal. I remember their show at Keep It True, and it was just great. They were so happy with what was happening to them because they are not very, as I say, straight heavy metal. But it was a kind of tribute to the old singer who had to left the band because he had a job offer in Austria, and it was a perfect way to introduce the new one. It's a classic traditional Mausoleum Gate.
And the last one is a split between Cardinal's Folly and Lucifer's Fall. What can you tell about this split?
Yeah, that was we made a split last year with the Hands of Orlak and the Wandering Midget. So it's I like doom metal. These two bands are quite different one from each other. Both bands, 3-track each one, they are very representative of their sound. I know that maybe a lot of people do not like splits or whatever, but instead of releasing, for example, 12 inches, I think it's wiser to put them just on a vinyl. If you like doom metal, I think you can. Each of the two bands have its own sound, and maybe you will like more Cardinal's Folly, maybe you will like more Lucifer's Fall, but I like them, so that's what the reason we release it.
I know that you recently signed the Neptune Power Federation and Ogre. So what are the plans for the second semester, and can we expect more newcomers?
Yes, we will be announcing this and next week in the month of July. We will be announcing the new releases. Of course, we have a release schedule which is not as full as as has been in the first semester, but we have some very good bands coming out. There will be, I can tell, will be announced another doom metal band very shortly. A traditional heavy metal band for Gates of Hell. And of course, we have this Neptune Power Federation release coming out in September, together with the re-release of their two previous albums on vinyls. The Neptune Power Federation, it's something I really, really love, and I strongly wanted to do. Besides not being 100% metal, but I think in some way they are more metal than many bands that they are called metal today. Because I've seen them live, I've talked with them. The energy they have, the power the music has, it's something that a lot of classic metal bands do not have.
And can you can you give us can you say something exclusive for this podcast of something that is going to be released in the second semester? Something that's like the new wave of traditional heavy metal.
Well, I can tell you, I can give you a little premiere because we're gonna announce this in a very few days. We have just signed Vortex from Holland, which is a band we totally love. Same as Fortier, is a band that never compromised, never changed music style. And they are real metal people. I always meet them at every concert, always in the front row. And the album is fantastic. It really sounds like 1984.
And I can tell you we will be releasing the new Terminus album from Northern Ireland, which it's called A Single Point of Light. I think people will be blown away by that.
So it's Vortex from the Netherlands, because I live in the Netherlands and I am looking for, because I don't know them. And so they are the Vortex from Groningen.
Yes, exactly, from Groningen. You should check them out. They're really, really good.
Yeah, I have a compilation of Dutch bands, but I don't know if they are on here. I have a compilation of Dutch still. Yeah, they are here. Vortex, yes. I'm gonna check them. They have the song "Open the Gate."
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
And Terminus, I know people that will be excited about that.
We hope so.
And we have one more question. It's to the bands that want to be signed by Cruz del Sur and Gatesofhellrecords, and of course other good labels, No Remorse, High Roller. What they should do when what do you look when you are scouting for new bands? What the band can do to be more appealing to you guys?
I'm talking for myself. I would say that they should be they should try to be honest with what they do, with what they play. Honest also in terms of what they can expect from a label like us, like No Remorse or like Roller. Like Roller, I think it's a little bigger than all of us, but we are independent labels. We're not corporate. They should understand that if they like we say, if they just sit on their couch and they wait for us to do all the job, they will probably not get signed by us or by any other of these labels, because working with us, it's a kind of a cooperation in some ways. We don't ask them money, but we ask them to be 100% into what they are doing. So they must be participative to the entire process of promotion, for example, and they should know where we all stand. This is not a very big market, and they should not expect to become rich from one day to another just because they release an album.
Talking about myself, I receive a lot of emails from bands, and there's bands that try to describe their music like saying, "Oh, we have a very original mix of this and this and this and that," and they quote like 1,000 influences and different music styles all together. That's the moment I lose interest in. I want to know what you're doing. You play heavy metal, you play epic metal, you play speed metal. When you need more than 2 or 3 words to describe your music, that's probably going to be a mess of everything. So,
yeah, there's probably something wrong in the in your mind.
Yeah, you probably don't know what you're doing. So keep it simple,
Something I want to say to bands is that they don't get an answer from us. It doesn't mean we haven't listened to their music. It's just sometimes it's not like a corporate way of thinking or a big label thinking. It's just we don't have the time to answer back to everyone. Of course, we listen to your music. If we are interested, we will contact you, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we try to reply, as much as possible, but sometimes things get a little bit crazy, so might take longer also than expected. But we actually take everything in consideration and listen to everything,
Yeah, I also try to reply, but it's worse when you reply and the person tries to convince you that you
insist.
Sometimes it is.
So thank you so much for this interview, Enrico. Thank you so much, Brigida. It was nice to talk to you.
Thanks to you, Anderson. I think your channel has helped us a lot, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next year at Keep It True.
Hopefully, yes.
If I'm going. I also not planning, but things are developing in a way that I will probably go to Up the Hammers also if everything goes according to the plan.
Yes. I will be there. Not sure, Brigida, but I will be there, so we'll definitely meet there.
Thank you so much, and all the best for you guys.
Thank you.
This is it, guys. Another episode of Wave of Metal podcast. I hope you guys liked it, and see you on the next episode, an interview with Cult Metal Classics, a label specialized in releasing, reissuing forgotten gems of 80s heavy metal. See you. Bye bye.